let's turn now, if we can, to this remarkable log cabin or log house here at Sesqui. Where did this cabin or house come from, Mr. Hester?
The house was originally located on River Drive, which is near the Earlwood Park neighborhood north of downtown. And for many, many years during the house's early history, it was kind of the outskirts of town. And it was actually an area that was referred to as Butcher Town because, I think I have this right, this was where a lot of livestock from the upcountry was brought down, slaughtered and processed, and then shipped down the rivers to lower plantations and things like that. So I may have that a little bit wrong, but I think that's why it was called Butcher Town. And interestingly, in the 1860s, a person who we believe was an owner of the log house was Nathaniel Pope, who is listed in the census records as a butcher, and I believe his son is also listed as a butcher. I think there are a lot of other butchers in the neighborhood.
Well, when was this, as close as you can tell, when was this house built?
Well, we don't know for certain. There was work done in the 1960s to try to use an analysis of the tree rings in the logs, tree ring dating, also known as dendrochronology. There was a very preliminary study done on that, which they came up with a date of 1756. I generally like to say we don't know that the house was built in 1756 for sure, because dendrochronology is a statistical process. They didn't have that many samples to work from, and that date really needs to be confirmed. And in my mind, it's possible that it could date to that early, or it could be later. And the architectural style of the house was one that was used, well into the 19th century. So it could be a much more recent building. But I think it's safe to say that this is one of the oldest buildings in Richland County. I would hesitate to say it's the oldest.
But one of the oldest. What was it used for?
It was a residence. It's basically 2 rooms over 2 rooms, a large central room that you walk into, a smaller room that was adjacent to it on the first floor, stairs going up to either one large upstairs room or multiple upstairs rooms. And we don't know, different numbers of people at different times lived there. We don't know when it was first constructed, what the size of the family was, and what each room was used for.
But it was, as far as anybody knows, always a residence, never a workshop or anything like that.
No, I think we think that it was always a residence, and later in its life, very much later, it was occupied by a series of tenants or renters, and by that point, it had really gotten into disrepair. But early on, probably the people who lived there were property owners of some sort in the house.
Well, 2 rooms upstairs and downstairs, that's a pretty big residence for that period, isn't it?
I'm not sure I can, really speak to that, but I think it's safe to say that, it's not, a single room cabin, which would be more of the lower status type residence. There's some indication from the details on the inside that the people who lived in this house were, if not well-to-do, of at least modest means.
Well, I guess the farther south one goes, the larger the houses can be without people freezing to death. So
that's a good point. Yeah.
That may make it
right. You don't have to heat these rooms so they can be larger. Right.